The atmosphere was heavy with humidity, sticking to me as I emerged from my vehicle on that Tuesday morning. The suffocating heat made even the weak breeze an unpleasant interruption. Having dragged myself through a long, arduous 12-hour day at the law firm, the last thing I could think of was my coffee, now congealed into sludge in the cup holder. All I needed was to reach my front door without falling down. But the moment I turned into my driveway, there she was, Marlene, appearing like a phantom at the sound of my engine. She strode towards me with a clipboard clutched in her hand, a smile as brittle as glass. "You can't park there," she barked before I even had a chance to open the door. "That space is reserved for homeowners." I blinked, my fatigue numbing my responses. "I am the owner," I replied, half frustrated. Her head canted to one side, a hunting look on her face. "No, sweetie, you're the tenant. Your lease doesn't grant you parking rights. Read the bylaws." She waved her clipboard around like a talisman. The irony was near tears. I wasn't only the owner, I was the owner of the duplex, including her apartment. Several months before, I'd purchased the building after Marlene's last landlord had been forced into an early retirement, in large part thanks to her constant harassment. He'd gotten a stress ulcer, and I couldn't fault him. I hadn't moved in right away, opting to manage renovations remotely while letting a friend stay in one unit. Marlene, assuming she still held sway, had claimed the common areas as her own, running inspections with a weed whacker in hand. I'd heard rumors of her reign of terror, her weekly garden inspections, complaints about a child drawing hopscotch on the sidewalk, and calls to animal control over a cat's suspicious stare. But nothing could have prepared me for the ambush at home. "That's my car," I announced, emerging, "and my driveway. I just moved into Unit B." Her eyes slid into slits. "That explains the stench of takeout," she sneered, looking at my scuffed work boots. "Some of us have standards." I looked at her lime green robe, which was adorned with faded parrots and stained with something I hoped was ketchup. "Right," I growled, heading toward my door. But Marlene wasn't finished. "Don't pretend you didn't hear me," she yelled, pointing a finger at the sky. "You'll be hearing from the HOA, unauthorized parking, dress code violation, trash bin askew by 18 degrees, a Class B infraction." I stopped on the porch, trying not to laugh. "You measure my trash bin?" Her expression set. "It's policy." The icing on the cake was that Marlene had no idea the HOA president had resigned the week before, and I'd been voted onto the board in secrecy. I had intended to get my feet wet, but with Marlene waving her clipboard and making unfounded accusations, it was obvious she had opened fire. "Sure," I replied calmly. "Let's go over it with the HOA." She puffed up, storming off with a clack of heels. "You'll regret ever setting foot here." I did not react. No use battling a tornado with a feather. I opened my door, wrote an email to the HOA board, and poured a new cup of coffee. From my window, I observed Marlene resetting her lawn gnomes with precision typical of a military general. The driveway war had commenced, but I had the deed, the gavel, and the receipts. 3 days after that, a neon orange citation was taped to my garage, flapping like an SOS. Unauthorized commercial vehicle parking, $125 fine. In Comic Sans, of course. I thought it was a joke, until I read the email Marlene had sent to the HOA with a fuzzy black and white photo taken from a security camera recording my car supposedly disturbing visual equilibrium. Worse, the timestamp indicated that it was taken inside my garage. She hadn't just recorded the driveway, she'd pointed the camera onto my property. In my state, that was a Class C misdemeanor. I didn't call her out on it. Instead, I replied to the email thread, "Interesting footage. Can we explain the source? I'd hate for my property rights to be infringed." Marlene came back hot. My security system is legal. If you're innocent, you've got nothing to hide. Classic. She added more photos: my car, my slightly open recycle bin, even a shot of me tying my shoe. My posture, it seemed, had wounded her, but the fourth photo sealed her doom. A composite picture of my friend Derek, an off-duty delivery driver, delivering tools, captioned, "Suspicious mail activity, possible commercial use." The HOA board blew up. One of the members, Tom, wrote, "Marlene spying again?" A neighbor chimed in, "Is that on his garage?" Then Ellen, a retired educator, DM'd me, "Marlene attempted to ticket my grandson's wheelchair ramp last year. I stand with you." I passed on Marlene's confession of surveillance to the HOA's lawyer liaison. 10 hours later, a notice was sent out. Pending investigation, illegal surveillance of resident property. My fine was gone. Marlene's was covertly removed, but she wasn't finished. The following day, she stood on my lawn, mouth pursed tightly enough to produce a whistle. "Your little board friends are covering for you," she spat. "Actually," I said, "I am the board. I chair the ethics subcommittee. Your video is now evidence in a policy review." Her eyes were wide with shock. "Oh, didn't your landlord tell you?" I said politely. "I purchased the duplex, both sides. I'm your HOA representative and your property manager's supervisor." Her mouth moved silently. "I have contacts in city zoning," she snarled. But I was ready. "Good," I answered. "They can tell you why tailing my garage could get you into court." Her expression twisted, but I just closed the door, triumphant. The HOA bylaws were revised by sundown. No monitoring shall record another unit's intimate space. Unit B proposal, passed unanimously. Marlene fell silent for a day and a half, a record. Then the noise complaint, excessive mechanical banging at inopportune times. Source, several concerned neighbors. Time, 3:42 p.m. The reality? My wheelchair using friend Derek was setting up a hydraulic chair and adjustable table. The banging was the banging of packaging thuds and a squeaky wheel. But self-proclaimed noise monitor Marlene also called the city, claiming unlicensed renovations. A city inspector came by, but rather than detecting anything wrong with our work, she went after Marlene's complaint, which was filled with discriminatory language. When I produced Marlene's aesthetic harmony clause, limiting non-standard equipment, the inspector's face went white. "This is an ADA violation," she said. "She's restricting access." 2 hours after the observation, the city launched an investigation into Marlene's discriminatory enforcement. Marlene marched past the next day, melodramatically plugging her ears. "Some of us value peace," she shouted. "You may want to shut up," I said. "Disability Services is looking at your emails." Tom, the vice chair of HOA, weighed in. "Marlene, you're suspended from enforcement pending review." Derek, pushing his chair out, chimed in. "Looks like you just got benched." The inspector, getting out of her car, smirked. 3 days after, the HOA voted for the Derek provision, which advocated for accessibility and overrode Marlene's restrictive clause. Marlene's Facebook tantrum against wheelchair lobbyists went viral, but not at all how she had hoped. The headline, "HOA Queen Claims Victimhood While Breaking Disability Law." They named her Marlene the Clause. I named her Pending Litigation. Her next trick? Forgery. A maintenance request allegedly from me landed on the property management site, granting a gate adjustment to provide Marlene with additional garden area. The digital signature was my own, poorly replicated from an old email. The vendor marked it as suspicious, and I sent it through to management. "Please confirm who submitted this." Photos of Marlene's garden, her cat scowling from the windowsill, were appended. The request was a trigger for an audit, and a surprise inspection uncovered a patio illegally extended into the common green area, a trellis bolted to a drainage line, and a gutter diverted to flood a neighbor's roses. The clincher? Her gazebo was positioned over a utility conduit. "This is a liability cocktail," said the inspector. Marlene screamed, "Beautification isn't a crime." "Falsifying documents is," the inspector said. She was slapped with $3,200 in fines and instructed to tear everything down. Her appeal was unsuccessful. Marlene's browser history showed DIY permit faking instructional videos. The HOA imposed a misconduct charge that needed 2 board members to vouch for her future requests. A neighbor sued civilly for damage to her roses. Marlene's patio was mulched. An employee removing Marlene's garden quipped, "We're reversing her reign of terror." I gave him a $10 tip. Undeterred, Marlene attempted to have a covert wine night in order to pass new pro-robes bylaws. Ellen informed me about it, and I crashed the party with a notarized cease and desist. "This is an illegal meeting," I declared.